Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to the stage Miss Amy Schweizer. Hello, Amy. How are you?
Hey everyone, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to hashtag Rise and Grind. What do you think about this crazy morning show, Amy?
Oh, I absolutely love it, Glenn. And honestly, I was a little bit intimidated about coming on because you always have such an awesome lineup of people. But the quote you just shared just resonated with me exactly. You know, I can only be the best version of me, and I'm excited to share my experiences with the hashtag Rise and Grind group.
You are strong. I love it. I love it. Melissa Jones, there's this one girl. I don't know if you know her or not. Her name's Melissa Jones. Her name is like right over here, right above my head on the wall.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
put number one fan. She's not one to toot her own horn or anything, but she put number one fan, and she told me about this amazing human being that's doing amazing things out there in the world named Amy Schweizer. And I thought we've got to get her on the show and learn a little bit more. So tell us a little about your story, your life, and how you ended up here with us today.
Sure, I'd love to. So I am a mom to three boys, three little guys, and if we fast forward a little bit, I was started my career. I got my master's degree in sport management. I had a lot of amazing opportunities. I got to intern with the Philadelphia 76ers. And I'll tell you, I'm only about 5'1", and that's pushing it. So standing on a court next to Yao Ming, if y'all remember him, was pretty comical, I think.
Yeah, he would have over 2 feet on you, wouldn't he?
Uh, I don't know, maybe more. I have
Yeah,
no idea.
yeah.
So got to do some cool things with that. Dr. J was in the building one night, so kind of got to hang out with him. If I'm sure some of you guys remember him. So
Of course.
got to intern with them. I was able to intern with the Philadelphia Kicks, which is their indoor professional soccer team. So did some stuff there. I got to play professional soccer myself for a season. I played in Cincinnati with the Cincinnati Lady Hawks. So a lot of cool
Awesome.
experience, super connected into the sports world. I was actually headed to work for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'd been down there, met with them. That's what was happening. And insert my Marine Corps husband. We been married for 10 years now, about 10 years this May, but we met at a job fair. I had a table working and he had a table recruiting, and he's in those nice dress blues. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those that every woman loves a man in uniform. He always says, if you didn't see me, if we didn't meet there and that, you probably would have never talked to me.
Right.
Maybe not, I don't know. So
The uniform won you over instantly.
it did. So 1 year later, instead of moving to Jacksonville, Florida to work with the Jaguars, I was moving to Camp Pendleton, California. And the world's kind of shifted at that point.
Yeah, what a shift. That's a big shift. So you go from being in that 100% like all sports all the time
Hmm.
world and then rolling over into a military completely different thing. I'd say there's some similarities though. Like you obviously in order for you to have had success in sports and those different areas, it took probably I'd say a lot of discipline on your part, right? Like good habits, good routines, and obviously this being a morning show, everybody that comes on, I like to talk to them just a little bit about their routines in their life, those disciplines that we put that help us to reach those higher levels. So let's just talk about in the mornings for you. What does a normal morning look like for you? Do you have any special routines or things that you do to make sure you kick every day off strong?
I do. So the alarm goes off at 5, and no snooze, no snooze. So I get up, alarm goes off, get up. I usually hit my First Five Bible app. So that's through Proverbs 31 Ministries. And so hit that, get that in. I too have a Peloton. I was gifted that for Christmas from my husband. So I usually head down
And you
and
weren't offended?
I wasn't. I was like,
Wow.
yes, this is great. I know that commercial. It was so different for me because I had been wanting it for years, but
Right.
I was like, that's a big purchase. I'm just, I have a treadmill. I'm good. I don't need to do it. And then he surprised me with it. And it was one of those, you shouldn't have spent that money, but thank you for
Right.
spending the money. And so, I hit that up every morning, and I'm sorry at 5:25, so I have to catch you on replays after that because
Fair enough.
I'm on the Peloton during that time. but that's the way I can get up, get ready, get ready for the day before my boys wake up. They're newly turned 3, 5, and 7. So our mornings are kind of crazy. And if I'm not up and ready, then it just downward spirals from there. So those are things that definitely put me in place for the morning.
Yeah, I love that. Take care of the mind, the body, the spirit before the rest of the world comes to attack. So let's talk about that. You've got the 3 boys, you've got this military husband, right? So what are maybe some things that we don't think about? Like, my whole family was military, but I didn't. I'm the only one, right? I'm the only one that didn't join the military. My sister's military, my grandparents military, my mom, my dad, everybody was military, but not me. So what are maybe some things that we don't think about, some challenges that you have to face as a military spouse raising 3 boys?
Yeah. So, there's a ton of ups and downs, ton of ups, but there are some downs that come with it too. And if you're not in it, you don't know. So you may say, oh, my friend is in the military, or I've seen this, and it's not the same unless you're actually in the situation. So one of the biggest challenges is the sacrifices that you have to make as a spouse. It's not only during deployments, which we go through, probably once every 2 years. And then in between that, my husband, they're off at school for a few months here, or they're off at training for a couple months here. So, you have those times of separation that you're single parenting. So that gets kind of tricky.
Sure.
But then you're also dealing with your own emotional baggage, and that comes with it because, it's not just, oh, he's gone for a few months on a work trip. There's some serious consequences that could come out of that. So, there's always this underlying stress that's there while they're gone. So you have your own emotional baggage, but then of course the emotional baggage of your kids as well. They, just the other day, my 7-year-old said, I was explaining that Daddy's going to have to go away sometime soon, and, talking about that. And he said, well, can he die in his job? And, for a second I said, well, do I, in my head, I'm like, do I answer that? And I'm like, no, Dad's safe in his job. And each family handles that differently. And depending on the age of your kids would depend on how truthful you can answer that. But, you don't want to add that to a 7-year-old's brain. He's already so sad that his best friend is gone.
Right.
And, you don't want to add that extra stress to him. So definitely the sacrifices of separation. And then with that, Glenn, I know this week you're talking about Groundhog's Day and working in the automotive industry and the effect that can have on marriages. And I thought, wow, that's eerily similar to military marriages. They're gone for long hours. The rate of infidelity is very high, and the divorce rate is very high in the military. And because, a lot of times when they're traveling, there's certain countries where they get off the bus to go to Liberty, they're a couple days off, and there's people waiting there for them, and so, and that's a reality. That's not just, oh, that happened 60 years ago. That's still on my husband's last deployment. Those types of things happen where the opportunity not only presents itself, but is aggressive at that. So, right. That's some challenges too. And then as a career-minded woman, or man in that, in a spouse situation, that's hard with that when that's your focus, and that it literally gets ripped out of your hand because you're not living in these mainstream cities anymore. So opportunities are automatically limited. Right. You are, you're changing duty stations every 2 to 3 years. And so, I get it as an employer. It's, you put money and time and you invest and train people and for them just to leave. However, then on the side of when I was trying to get a job before I got my own business and started that, that's just defeating as a spouse. And it kind of takes away a sense of self-worth if you are interested in a career, because there's not much you can do. You're kind of relegated to being home. So definitely the sacrifices.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of things in there that, I hadn't thought about, the career side for you. And, first of all, I do want to say, I appreciate and am thankful for the sacrifice that your husband and yourself, make to protect our country. I know how important that is, but think about that, those conversations that you have to have with those, with your kids, like, can daddy can daddy die? Like I'm getting ready to leave, I'm getting ready to go on a business trip here soon. And, my wife and I'll have some time apart and the kids and I, but that's nothing compared to the conversation that you were just talking about there. That's really, really, really unique. So in this unique position that you're in, you have this love of soccer and sports. You have this love of a man in a blue military suit that's super strong, strong enough to pull you away from like professional career in sports, doing all the glamorous stuff. You decide to go this route. You're raising the three boys. You're dealing with all of the different sacrifices. Now, somehow you've managed to take this situation and like combine your passions, your unique gifts to empower and help make other kids in similar situations stronger. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So, it's something you mentioned earlier this week. Again, you said one decision can change the directory or the path. And that's what happened with me. I honestly, when we first got married, those first couple of years, I was very resentful. I didn't realize what marrying into the military meant for my career and me personally. And so, I was just excited and getting married and moving. And then it's like, whoa, you're on this high and it's crashed and he's leaving and you have no friends and you're in this different state and, things, I can't find a job that's anywhere near, the experience that I had or the salary, the compensation. So I was really resentful, and that truly affected our marriage. And then shortly after we got married, we moved to Okinawa, Japan. So, that's a different atmosphere in itself, and it ended up being a great experience. But I was at a women's conference at the church there, and the pastor's wife, who he was retired military as well, was giving a speech, and she said, it wasn't fair. It's not fair that he's gone. It's not fair that I'm with the kids all the time. It's not fair that I'm emotionally stressed. And she said, but I can either choose to keep that resentment and ruin, make his life miserable, make mine miserable, and ruin our relationship, or I can choose to accept what is, change the things I want to change and can, but then be okay with the things that I can't change. And,
Right.
I love my husband, and, this is something that came with it. And so that stuck out to me. And that single moment there was what transformed my mind into, okay, I can make this work. I can, support my husband and love him and still find fulfillment in a career for myself. So that led to me starting to coach some soccer sessions over in Japan. And I ended up making a program where we did Japanese and American kids together. So we have Japanese parents who are speaking no English, the kids speaking no English,
Right.
but then we had us with English and English. So it was so awesome, though, to see how sports truly transcends boundaries.
Right.
It didn't matter. You knew what everyone was trying to do. And I got to play on some teams there, and no one spoke English and I spoke very little Japanese. So, but it was super cool. And so I got to transform that. And once we PCS, which is a permanent change of station, it's what you call it when you move in the military. Once we PCS back to the States, I thought, wow, there's really a need for programming for the ages of kids that I serve, which is 1 to 5. And so that's where kind of Tiny Troops Soccer got started. And we've been able to spread across the country and actually globally now. So we have about 35 sites near different military bases throughout the country. I think Fort Campbell's the closest to you. And then we have a couple sites in Japan and one in Spain coming up. So I guess that's what you call making lemonade out of lemon.
Wow, that's more than just lemonade. Like that's making the whole mix. Like that's crazy. So here we are resentful. We're like, this isn't working. This isn't what I signed up for, even though it is what we signed up for, right? It's like, we're resentful. I didn't realize it was going to be all of this. I don't like this. What am I going to do? We make that one decision. Somebody pours into you, right? You make that one decision, shift the mindset. We're going to turn this into a positive. We're going to go out and make an impact, right? And in doing so, now 35 different places across the world. So think about the kids, right? Like, let's look
Mm-hmm.
at this from the kids' perspective. You've got these little kids that dad's going away, mom's going away. They don't really understand. They deal with those emotional things. You have the spouses dealing with those emotional things. And now they have this like little sacred
Mm-hmm.
place where they can go and they can play sports and they can have fun and they can have the joy and even maybe just a little bit of normalcy in what,
Mm-hmm.
their world, which is not, it's not normal, right?
Yeah, it's not. No. And that's what I always say is that we get to be the constant in their lives. So, especially as we've expanded Tiny Troop Soccer, they get to go and I say, oh, guess what? I know Coach Glenn. You're going to love him. You're going to have so much fun. And so that's something familiar to them when everything's changing and everything's crazy. They don't get to grow up like some of us did on the same teams our whole lives with the
Right.
same people our whole lives. And we have these pictures and memories. They don't get that. So, I always tell my coaches who are also mostly military spouses that they're not going to have that team, but they're not going to remember the specific team, but they're going to remember Tiny Troops, and we get to play a part in that for them and giving them that physical outlet, and like you said, which leads to all the emotional benefits because they can't say I'm sad because daddy left, or I'm sad because grandma had to leave, or I don't live by grandma anymore. They can't vocalize these things, so we're giving them that outlet and a place to do that.
Man, I think that is truly beautiful. Like, thank you. Thank you so much, Amy, for taking that emotion and turning it around into something positive. The emotions and the things that you were dealing with to where it's now making an impact on all these other children. It's beautiful. Let's dive into that just a little bit further. Where are we at on time? Because
Sure.
I could talk to you forever. We're doing good. Okay. So what are maybe some of the things you worry about most with these kids, right? These military kids. What are maybe a couple, two or three different things that you worry about most with them being in these situations?
Well, there's been tons of studies, Glenn, that have said they have a lower level of confidence, they have more anxiety, just tons of negative things like that. That's true of military kids because it's a different lifestyle. Just imagine you have your best friend and now they're gone. You're never going to see them again, probably, unless you just happen to be at the same duty station again years down the road. So
Hmm.
they have that big change. A lot of them don't know their grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles that much because they see them through FaceTime, or the videos. And depending on where you live, travel's crazy. Like we were in Japan, and that was a $1,800 ticket, 24-hour day. And I was blessed enough that my family and his were able to come out, but people don't get that. So,
Sure.
they're cut off from family for 3 years. And, that's hard for the little ones. And
Yeah.
so that's a big deal. So there's been a lot of programming and a lot of focus lately. Military used to be service member, service member, service member. And they always say, the joke was if we wanted you to have a wife or family, we would issue you one.
Mm.
But luckily, that mentality has definitely started to shift where they realize that kind of if the wife ain't happy, the husband is not going to be happy. So
Right.
if that family unit's not, and it's kind of self-serving because it still does go back to the service member. They want us as a family to be okay, so he can be okay to do his missions and what
Sure.
he needs to do.
Sure.
However, I'll take it, right? I'll take the extra stuff. So they're putting a lot of programming into place that can help these military kids with these transitions. There's a couple issues that you don't think of with transferring of credits for high school military. So with the different state requirements, a lot of times they've had to redo or not graduate on time. So that's some
Yeah.
stuff that
Sure.
they're trying to figure out. Uh, Teen suicide rates, that's an issue. I know across the country, but also in the military.
Sure.
And I don't know, the exact factors or impact of that, but surely our lifestyle has something to do with it. They don't have this dad or this mom during some critical times of their lives. So,
Yeah. No doubt.
yeah,
So a lot of things that can compound, I'm sure, right?
yeah,
Over time, the
yeah.
anxiety, the low confidence, the no family
Hmm.
connections, all of the moving, the disconnects from the parents. Yeah, a lot of things that can build up. But you're doing something about that. That's what I love.
Hmm.
Instead of just seeing a problem and saying that's a problem, somebody should go fix that. Instead, you're like, you know what? This is a problem, and I'm gonna go fix that.
Mhm.
And you're doing it all over the world, which is incredible. So we're gonna wrap this up, but I'm gonna ask you two questions
Okay,
before we go. The first one I want to know is,
sure.
so how do you think soccer like translates to life? Give us that connection in your brain from soccer to how that affects us life wise.
Oh man, I just you just brought me back into playing days. I just love it. So just the passion of it. So the discipline and dedication. So you may be able to run up a basketball court a couple times or something, but you're not just going to jump out and run. I think the average is 5 to 7 miles that you run a game, and that's a sprint, mostly sprints that whole time.
Right.
So the discipline of it and the work ethic. Also, there's before I knew soccer, I'm like, what is happening? This is just looks like a bunch of junk. I have no idea. I was used to basketball and football, but you'll see there's some intricate, beautiful patterns. You have to know where you're going and also be thinking ahead to where's that going to lead. So not just my first pass, but then how is that going to play out? So always having a plan and always being able to look ahead too at that goal of, in this situation, actual goal, the
Right.
physical soccer goal, but I meant, and looking at the goal to see what you have and what you need to do to get
Yeah, I love it. So you've got, there's beauty in it, right? Just like there's
there.
beauty in life. There's endurance, right? It's a long game, right? It's not
Mhm.
it's not instant gratification.
Mhm.
Basketball, instant gratification. They're scoring a basket like every 2 seconds, right? Soccer, you could
Mhm.
go hours when nobody scores, right? So you
Mhm.
have to have this endurance. You got to have the strength to push through. That's stinking awesome. I love it. I have a newfound respect for the game of soccer, which my wife was a big soccer player as well. That was always her game. Where I grew up in Flagstaff, Arizona, they didn't play soccer because it
Mhm.
snowed 6 months out of the year. We didn't do anything outside. Everything was cinders and rocks. So I didn't really know the game until I moved here to the bluegrass state where they play
Mm.
plenty of soccer out here
Nice,
in
nice.
Kentucky. But Amy, you're amazing. And so what I want to do, we do have to respect, I need to respect your time and we have to respect our viewers' time. So what I'd like to do right now is put you up on top of a mountain real quick. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
going to put you up on top of a mountain, and all of civilization is at the bottom, and they're cheering, right? Like Amy, Amy, Amy. Some of them are even cheering in Japanese and different languages from all over the world, right? And Amy, 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 and they're cheering for you. And you have 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to drop
Humans.
something on them, some practical application, some wisdom that they can apply in their life today, this week, this month, this year. What are you going to tell them?
First, make sure you're focusing on God. I know even for me, it's so easy. You get so busy, and it's again. I have that app. It's 5 minutes. Like surely we can fit 5 minutes. And as a mom, it's hard, and sometimes I feel like I don't have 5 minutes. But make sure you're putting that in and staying connected to that. Also, not always accepting no and the first answer. I'm someone who, if it's something I believe in or I feel like it's unfair, you need to respectfully push some boundaries. And again, respectfully is that key word, but kind of push a little bit, figure out why something's not happening, and let's figure out how we can get it to happen. How can we make this happen? So not accepting that no and being determined in what you want to do. I would also say, don't wait till Monday. So in what I put here, for this, I told my friends, hey, I'm going to be on there. It's 5:30. I know it's 5:30, but don't wait until Monday. Don't say, oh, on Monday I'm going to start getting up early to work out, or on Monday I'm going to do this. Do it now. You don't always have a Monday there, and that Monday may not be there. So do it now. Get in the discipline, and start with small changes. So today you're only going to drink water instead of you might have to have coffee in there, but instead of your soda, we're only going to drink water. So just a small change right there. And Melissa's probably going to laugh because I always tell her that, put that soda away and drink your water.
Right.
So just small things. It doesn't have to be a huge, I have to go to the gym for 2 hours now, and I have to do this and this. Small things change. So get up 5 minutes earlier and see what that time gives you and how that affects you. So implement a small change today.
I stinking love it. We'll put God first. Don't just accept no. I think that
Mhm.
that's super strong. I hope nobody just glazes over that, right? Like I get a lot of no's. I don't accept no. No is not an option. But like you said, respectfully push the
Mhm.
boundaries of those no's. I love that. Don't wait till Monday and do the small things incrementally over time
Mhm.
because it definitely adds up. Amy, you are an incredible, incredible human being, clearly uniquely made by the God of the universe, the God that made everything. Made you to be the absolute best version of yourself that you can be. And you're doing it, girl. You're out there. You're making an impact. You're doing amazing things. And I love it. These decisions that you're making, they're making an impact, obviously, on these kids. Huge impact on the kids, other military spouses, right? Other people in these military situations. You're also
Mhm.
creating something for them, something, a comfort place for them that they can bring
Mhm.
their kids and feel more
Mhm.
comfortable about being in a military role. So all of these decisions that you're making, they're making an impact. And today you've made a massive impact on me and on all of everybody that's watching. And I absolutely love you for it. I do. I absolutely stinking love you.
Thank
You
you.
are awesome, Amy.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you. I had to say real quick, I know we're short on time. You're saying how awesome I am, but there's a couple mornings I wake up and I'm like, I think I'm going to punch Glenn in the face. And he's like, what? I told Melissa this. She's like, why? And I'm like, because I'll be laying there in my head. I hear rise and grind. And I'm like, no. And I just hear rise and grind. I hear it exactly the way you say it. And I'm like, oh, Glenn, I get out of bed and I'm all mad at you. And this is the first time we've ever actually talked. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. I'm not all amazing. I'm not all
You are amazing and you do the little things and no one ever said that we have to like it along the way, right? We just have to do it. That's awesome. All right, girl, you hang out here in the green room for just a second and
awesome.
I am going to say goodbye to our friends over here. If I can find it over here on hashtag, that's right, you heard me say it, hashtag rise and grind. That's it, my friends. That is Amy Schweizer. She is incredible. You know the drill. The best thing that we can do whenever we have a guest on our show, best thing that we can do is hit that share button. Make sure we share this out as far and wide as we can possibly do. I also need you to reach out and connect with Amy. She's right here on Facebook. You can find her, search her up. Her name's tagged. I've got posts with her in it, so on and so forth. But make sure you follow her today. Shower her with love, pour into her as only hashtag rise and grind can. Like, I want her annoyed by the end of the day. Like, Glenn, these people are blowing me up. But friend her, message her, support her, encourage her, because she's done that for us this morning. Absolutely amazing.